So when you're starting this process, you want to make sure you are thinking about your colors and color family, as well as realizing that you have to mix your own for each of the colors. With watercolor, you'll have two different brushes. There's a larger, what we call a wash brush for doing very watery, large spaces, and then you'll have your smaller detail brush, which will be used for everything else. To start off with, though, you want to get your paints wet that you need. So you want to dip and squeeze some drops of water into each of the colors that you will need today, because watercolor works by adding those water to the colors, because it is watercolor. And you will be needing to mix your colors. And to do that mixing, you will need a separate location. In this case, my plate here will be my separate location, and I need to get the color that I need. So if I'm going to make a yellow-orange, I'm going to need some yellow. So pick up the paint, first make it pretty vibrant, and add it to the plate. Pick it up, add it on, pick it up, add it on. Notice I'm not washing out my brush. Now that I feel like I have probably enough paint, now I will wash out my brush all the way down to the bottom, swirling around. And I'm going to mix that orange paint, wake it up, make sure it's pretty vibrant. And I'm going to put this on a separate part of my plate. Pick it up, set it down, pick it up, set it down. Okay, so I'm ready to make yellow-orange. Now I'm not going to wash out my brush because I've got orange on it already, and I'm going to get some of that yellow and kind of come down here and mix. Now if I feel like this yellow-orange that I've made here is too orange, which would make sense, I can grab a little bit more of that paint and mix until I feel like I've got a good combination. But any of these colors of yellow-orange is acceptable. Like you can actually use all of these different ones. A very yellow-orange, a medium yellow-orange, a dark yellow-orange. Those are all good to have. So now I'm going to bring my painting over. And from my plate, I'm going to start painting. So for my cheese, I actually want a very yellow-orange. This is going to be kind of a dry brush, or dry, wet on dry, kind of your basic paint. Then, that's one option. I'm going to wash out my brush, have just water. I'm going to put just water on a wide chunk of my paint here. Painting with just clear water or mostly clear water. And if it's too dirty already, you can go ahead and grab some fresh water if you need to. But while the paper is still wet, you can pick up that color and you can sort of touch it onto your paper, and it will spread out and be what we call wet on wet. So we had wet on dry, wet on wet, which sort of spreads and pools, okay? And then have another technique that's called dry brush, and I'll actually do that in the background here. Now, if you need to go back and get more color from the plate, please do wash out your brush and set it in a clean space. Now I'm actually going to let this dry before I show the next kind of color, because if I paint right now where this stuff that's wet is. They will mush together and bleed together, and I don't want that. So I'm going to let this dry, and then we'll come back. To clear off your plate between sessions, please take your paper towel. You can get it a little bit wet by taking your paper towel, setting it on top of your open water bottle, quickly flipping and flipping back, and you'll get a little bit of water. That's really all you need. And you can wipe down your plate. If it's not quite enough, fold your paper towel again, water bottle, flip, and gently rub. So then this is clean enough, it can go back in the drawer. And your water bottle, though, still needs to be emptied and refilled for the next session if you are done for the day. So now I'm going to do some of my red purple to make the lovely pepperonis. And that's way too purple of a red purple, so I'm going to wash out and get a little more red. If you want more of one particular color, have that one be the last color that you choose. That way it is mostly that color. All right, so for my pepperonis, I'm going to have some lighter red purple. And I'm actually going to use the saran wrap technique for this one. So with the paper still being quite wet, I'm going to take the saran wrap and place it on top and sort of smush it down into the wet paint, and then with it crumpled, and then I'm going to let that dry. And I noticed that I smushed out my paint from my space and it kind of got all over my paper. So I'm actually going to get that extra wet and use a paper towel to dab up some of that color. It's not going to completely erase it, but it will help to lighten it, and then I can repaint with the color I do want in that space. So a little bit of bleed is expected, but too much is not what I wanted. So I will repaint that later. All right, my paint has mostly dried, and I'm going to go in and try to kind of fix my oops in here. But I can also add some other techniques. I can go in with just the red or just the purple and add sort of like edge or shadow to those red purple shapes. I think I like it with just the red on there. Yeah, that's what I'll do. To kind of help those pepperonis look like they're sitting on the pizza. Give them a little shadow on there. Layering up at different times can really help with that. And then I do also want to make my pizza crust color, which is going to be, again, yellow-orange, but it's going to be more of an orangey yellow-orange. So I hit a very yellow-orange, and now I'm going to make a very orangey yellow-orange. Be careful, don't do what I just did. If that happens, be sure to grab it out of there. Okay. Now I'm actually going to get even a little bit more orange, but I'm going to actually make this pretty watery. So it's a watery orangey yellow orange. It seems kind of funny. And I'm going to layer some of that orange directly on there to kind of help show that shape. Because it still has that yellow, it counts as yellow-orange. Crust color. Okay, and then I'm going to do a technique called dry brush in my background with my third color. So I'm going to do that green-blue color as my third color, and that is going to be with the dry brush technique. And for dry brush, first you mix your color, okay? Then you take your paper towel and you dry off the bristles of the brush gently. And you can then brush and get that sort of brushy texture. That's what we're looking for, that really brush texture, which we normally say, don't do that. That damages your bristles, which is true if you are being too rough with this, which is why I don't let you do it any younger. You are damaging the bristles. But if you're gentle about it, you can do this and it can look pretty cool to give you some additional depth and difference in your art. So I'm going to just paint the background around this little pizza slice with this kind of decoration. The dry brush, though, should be your final step. So if you wanted to do a washout here and then dry brush on top, that would be better. I'm going to make a little bit more green, blue-green to make my peppers for my pizza. But all of that really works out here to create our different designs here. All right, I'm gonna let this dry and see if there's anything more I want to add later, but I'm pretty happy with my multi-technique pizza.